Hello, welcome to another briefing. In this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about this continued upcoming cool down that we're having. And so basically, I'm going to start by showing the 500 millibar chart projection for the European model. And I'm pausing it at 5 p.m. Pacific time today on Tuesday, August 13th. And so what this shows basically is the pressure heights up at 18,000 feet. And that's going to correlate to how much air is pressing down on the atmosphere from 18,000 feet down to the surface. And when you have a negative pressure anomaly, usually associated with a trough of low pressure, you have a likelihood of cooler temperatures because the air is rising and expanding, and that is allowing for cooling. The air will particularly along the west coast in the summer in the United States, this allows cooler ocean air to lift off of the ocean and push further inland, which cools off our inland areas as well. And a trough setup, even in the summer, particularly in the winter, but even in the summer, will also allow a dip in the jet stream, which allows cooler air from polar regions to make its way further south as well. So cooling can occur even in areas well away from the ocean and from any ocean influence because of that effect that the troughs have of bringing cooler air from the north. And when you have a positive anomaly, when you have above average heights, like if see over northeastern Canada here, we have a big ridge of high pressure, just to show you for example, this means that the pressure is very high, the atmosphere thickness is, not the thickness, but the weight of the atmosphere over this region is very high. And so there's a lot of sinking air, and that causes kind of a pressure cooker effect. It causes the air to sink and warm as opposed to rise and cool when you have a trough. So with that explained, for those who aren't familiar with ridges and troughs, you can see here, I'm going to use my pen to show this. You can see a trough carving out. Today we have a significant trough over the Pacific Northwest, and that's affecting pressure heights over parts of California as well. It's actually exiting. It passed over California yesterday, but we're still feeling the effect of much cooler temperatures from this trough. And I'm just going to show you the pattern real briefly until I go into the next map. This is the projection for the next few days per the European model. So we have things kind of evening out. And then you see tomorrow, this ridge of high pressure to the south tries to build back in. So it might warm up a little bit for a lot of areas of California, parts of Nevada, and parts of the Four Corners region might see some warming tomorrow as this ridge of high pressure tries to nudge back. But you have another little trough going by the Pacific Northwest here, so it's kind of a battle in between this ridge and trough. So mostly seasonable weather for a lot of California, as you're kind of right in between this ridge and this trough, and you can kind of pick out where the subtropical jet stream is, where you have these really tight isolines, is where you're going to have the most wind. So you have kind of a subtropical jet over here, and then if you look way north over Alaska, over northern Canada, there's the polar jet where it hangs out this time of year. It's well to the north. It's well over the Arctic Circle. But you can kind of see where that is too. Anyways, let's look at going into Thursday. See, you have a cold upper low with a deep trough that starts carving out. This is Thursday, now going into Friday here. You have a deep cold low, which is carving this deep trough over the west coast. This is significant cooling. It will likely be significantly below average temperatures for Oregon, Washington, parts of Northern California. Below average for sure down into Central California. Now, just how much, it's still a little too soon to say. We have projections for that, but still too soon to tell. You can't trust the projections too much when it's this far out. But I can tell you, based on this and based on the fact that the other computer models I've seen are in pretty good agreement with this setup, even looking out about 3 to 4 days at the moment, it looks like we're going to have a deep, cold trough off of the Pacific Northwest, which will influence parts of California as well. This could even bring a rain chance to the Pacific Northwest. I'm just going to show you potential precipitation. See, looking into, let's put this into motion here, because that's the biggest story with this, putting this into motion until the projection until next Monday. Just the conditions as of now, what the computer model is projecting as of today, which could still change, is this, and this is pretty significant. Mind you, this could still change. But if we zoom into the northwest here, you can see this is over 1/4 of an inch rain for Seattle. This is about the same amount, almost 1/3 of an inch for Portland. And all the way down the Willamette Valley, there could be significant rain, particularly for this time of year. This is significant over here is what we're looking at. So still not for sure that this will happen, but it's something to watch. For sure, something to watch. Now, going back to temperatures, I just wanted to show you. So this is a temperature at about 18,000 feet, and this is this gives you a good idea of those cold pockets of air associated with those troughs. So you can see this little trough that's supposed to come in Wednesday night, 8 p.m. tomorrow, the one I showed earlier. Temperatures at 18,000 feet down to maybe, this is all in Celsius, by the way, down to about -13 Celsius for much of Oregon and parts of Northern California. But the Bay Area, see, it's still a little too far south to feel really significant effects from that cold. It's around -6 Celsius, which is pretty close to average for this level this time of year. But we put this into motion. Let's go, and now we go, see that cold low? This is going into Friday afternoon. And this is really cold air. This is that deep, cold low with a deep trough here. And you can see, as this moves into Oregon on Saturday and Sunday, this is Saturday night, 11 p.m., looking at -20 Celsius rather than -15. At 18,000 feet. So you can tell this is a much stronger system than the first one, and this lower pressure is going to have more lift potential, so it can suck up all that moisture, and as that moves up over these mountain ranges such as the Cascades, and there's instability, there's plenty of instability because there's cold air aloft as pictured here, then those are the perfect ingredients for rain. That's what you need. You need lift, moisture, and instability. So these could all be present this coming weekend, which is why we have the chance for rain in the Pacific Northwest. Unfortunately, once again, you can tell that the temperatures aloft don't drop very much in the Bay Area region, but nonetheless, the lower pressure will allow deepening of the marine layer near the coast. So coast areas that are close enough to the coast, and even areas a little further inland with the stronger onshore wind will feel effects of cooling thanks to that cold water at the coast and the winds picking up and the marine inversion layer deepening a little bit as that low pressure sags south, and as it affects the Pacific Northwest, it will, see, it does kind of graze. It got down to -10, by Sunday the 18th on this projection. So it does kind of graze the Bay Area, but even without much cooling from the troughing, you will see a deepening marine layer. So that's something to look forward to. Now I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna show you what might be going on. So this is basically a projection for today. This is just doing a brief overview of Bay Area temperatures. See, this is about average. You have 80s, upper 80s in the far inland locations, 70s around the bay, and you have 60s for the immediate coast and areas like downtown San Francisco, where you have the influx of that cold wind. And then you have tomorrow is about the same, Thursday, maybe a tad bit cooler, Friday. And then you go Saturday, you see a significant cooling as that cold lows over the Pacific Northwest. See some more significant cooling here. Only lower 80s for the warmer inland locations. Sunday about the same, and then maybe a bounce back going into next week. But see, this is not like significantly below average, but you can tell that marine air is making it further inland when you look at these temperatures here. So I want to show you now the rain chances over the western United States for the next couple days, because I always try to talk about that a little bit this time of year, because it is something to watch out for. And so here we go. This is going into tonight. This is at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Mountain time. And you can see the line of moisture is mostly over the Four Corners regions. A lot of activity for Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Wyoming up here, parts of Montana and Idaho, as well as you have a big high pressure ridge over the Texas region right now, and that is rotating moisture. It's pulling moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and the Gulf of California and rotating it around, but you have this trough over the west coast, and what that tends to do, when it's cooler air that's coming, that cooler air has less moisture with it. So it's drier air, and it's cooler temperatures at the surface, so there's less instability as well. And you don't have those pop-up storms. You don't have the subtropical moisture. The cool trough tends to kick the subtropical moisture to the east. So that is why we don't have much activity for Arizona, California, and Nevada today. But then watch how tomorrow the activity will shift even further to the east. See, tomorrow, looking at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, barely any activity for a lot of New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah, even not seeing as much activity, if any at all. Whereas today, they're still expected to see a lot. See, nothing really for Idaho. Still activity in Wyoming, but only eastern Montana, not western Montana. So you can tell that this bulk of this activity is shifting to the east. Even Colorado, only northern Colorado is seeing that moisture at this time tomorrow, 5 p.m. tomorrow, because that troughing has pushed further to the east and is pushing this moisture. So I can also show you now, it might be helpful. I'm gonna have to look at a different model, but it might be helpful to show you this. This is the height chart. So I'm gonna start out with today at 5 p.m. Pacific. See how there's this, you can tell this is a trough, which is like the darker colors here are the troughing, and the more like pink and red colors are the ridging. And you can see there's troughing over, there's a cold upper low, well, not super cold, but there's an upper low over northern Idaho here. And you see this troughing pattern, and then you see that there's the ridge over Texas, as I mentioned. And so if you remember, winds tend to go clockwise around high pressure systems in the northern hemisphere. You can tell, and you can see by the wind barbs here, this has got a southerly component to it here, and it's pulling in subtropical moisture, and there's still, like, you're nudged in between the trough and the ridge, and you're still getting good moisture here for like Utah and western Colorado, for instance. But then you look at tomorrow at 5 p.m. and you see this has changed. It's more straight west. You don't have that much moisture, and you have the troughing here over the west coast. See, there's more troughing overall over these northern states. The heights have dropped a bit. Even though it's more it's zonal here, see, west northwest instead of south. That's not a lot of moisture. See, that's taking the moisture away, which is why the storms are lining up further east with tomorrow's run. See, there's got to be that moisture. See, you have the moisture tomorrow more over, like, mostly east of Denver here. And that's where you're getting south wind off of this high pressure system. But here you have another high pressure system, and you have low pressure to the north, which is giving you a west wind. Anyways, this is a very long video. I got really excited about showing you the different wind patterns. But that's all I have for today. I hope this was helpful. I hope you were able to get something out of it. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.